It's great to see everybody coming together, coming into all position locations, integration line setting. I think that's the hardest thing to understand is how to integrate location of one. One is the provisional locations. Now, 1 plus 1 equals 3, but the 3 line connections is all levels of 1 plus line. 1 plus 1, 1 plus line, 1 communication setting. Anything that I say is balanced. Why? Why is it balanced? Because it's the integration of everything all in one. So understanding the timelines that you're in signal is trying to understand the positions of where it is in track locations. You're living past, present, and future in yin and yang. The process of its communication is trying to understand the earth line of correlation to its higher self. Higher self understands its position location, understands its existence. Now, once it understands its existence, it understands its provision. The provision location is this tracker system. Now you got 7 bodies of water. We've already talked about that locations, and then you got 5 atmosphere line setting. That's 12 over pi. That's 12 over pi. Okay? Setting that line in communication system is a higher levels of space. The integration takes time. So what is it all about? The higher self is the earth perceptions of you that's in position of its consciousness. But there's a higher levels of consciousness of yourself, which is your avatar. Your higher self stays on the ground, but it's an earth perception of its higher level, okay? Which is an altered state of your mind of consciousness, which is the subterranean setting. The subterranean is the level of correlation, okay? The waving system, okay? The waving system lines its communications to rivers, streams, oceans, and lakes. The recognition line setting is to understand how to adapt to your chakras into higher level correlation systems to your avatar. Now, your higher self really has to understand the 12 DNA of its system. That's its existence on its own. The integration takes time. Okay. There's no rush. This is not a competition. This is not a race, to make it very well clear. Okay. To truly understand that is provision. Now, provision opens up all levels of you in cycle. Okay. So you come into the colonial. Now, the colonial is a dimensional line to a vortex chamber that sets line position locations to each chakra that's connected to its higher self, that hires its position to its location of its earth, of its angelics, and of its space. You're always going to be working with 3 levels: the grounds, the powers of you, and the atmosphere. It's very basic introduction location settings, right? Anything above the 12 DNA, you're into higher correlation system of abundance through space anomaly, which is your avatar. So it's you dealing with you each day through each emotion, because you're going through so many line communications to your signals into your Schumann resonance. So much vibration is going on every single second, minutes, and hours, not hours, minutes, and seconds. So changing that position changes the log centers, change your mechanism of travels, change the correlation settings, changes your position, location, of directions into all levels of your clock setting. Okay. So you really, really, really have to understand the purpose of its higher self, or why it exists. Okay. Understanding that, then you understand the integration to your higher self, which is your avatar. So there's a lot of communication line settings. So this is all positions of 12 avatars. Start off the higher self, and then you go into higher level, into higher level, into higher level. So you're reaching higher levels of space through the alteration line connection of the psychological of space, what it means to you through its solar system. The chakra system is just trying to understand what it is from 0 to 12. Now that's just the basic. Being understanding is being understood. So understanding that gives you a better understanding what the higher self means to you. Okay. Now I have this on Spacetime Creator on my YouTube, where I state what happens when you travel through the higher self. Okay. So when you travel through the higher self, you get a better understanding how real it is when you are in mechanism locations in its provision to really understand the astral travels, the astral connections, and the astral projections. You guys started off with the outer body experience. Now that's DNA, born line setting of a seed line in rotation interference in set locations, right? You started off as little kids, right? But your positions of your mind setting is releasing programs through all levels of higher levels of atmosphere line connection. So reaching those position locations understands more lines of communications going up into DNA and positional rotations to your chakras and your computer chips. Chakras, one way and the other way, one way and the other. They don't go in the same rotation, okay? Because you'd be going like this and too far on one side. You'd be rotating too quickly in capacity just on one side provision on the earth. So you got to be balanced on both sides. And that's where it becomes a figure 8 in rotation. Okay, 2 panels and 1 line setting, one on left and one on right locations. Now you got earth channels in high setting and high positions track lines. Understanding the sonar is understanding the Namekian line setting in position locations to its blocks. You got block channel line setting. This puts you in open sequence patterns. This puts you in an equal line setting and aligning interference location of computer chip settings. The higher levels of space of alteration that's puts you in provision. Okay. So to get your abundance is to understand the higher self, which is the grounds of perception location, okay, which is the subterranean to its super of its consciousness. But when you go to higher levels, you go into higher levels of pi. Okay, you say, wow, look at this. This is so much I've done already. But let's not stop there. Let's go beyond. You don't look at a board, you look through the board. You don't look at me, you look at the wall. You look at me, you're missing everything. Okay, so you're only seeing one side. You're not seeing the sides. You're not seeing the back. You're not seeing the rotation, the circulation, line connection, position of high interference to its atom line position. And that's what it is. It's turning you guys into inner light settings that stays in position. The only change is your emotional setting, which changes the colorations over line connections to your geometric operation of direction. And that direction changes its division location of its dimension. The dimension changes everything to higher level setting. So as the inner light is changing coloration, it's changing its Merkaba. It's changing its computer operations line setting to its tesseract. Okay? So understanding that, then you understand the position locations to your tetrahedron, octahedron, or tetrahedron locations, or hexagonal lining or rotation interference. So what you're doing is you're creating higher levels of design, of construct, of teleportation. Transmitting, receiving, transmitting, receiving. So transmitting is what? You're transmitting to you as the avatar. So you are you communicating with you. Don't get confused with that. Me, myself, and I. Nothing changes in position locations unless you want it to change. So the ground line setting is always going to be the higher self, but the higher levels of the mind setting is going to be the avatar set locations. So this where it integrates the position of its hardware, which is position location at ground lines, which is aligned position locations in an aurical line setting in high line rotation to your thoughts of your placebos into its mystical cortex vibration set locations. And this goes back to matrix locations, how it's set up to the high setting. Now getting into that provision locations, put your higher levels of the simulation. This opens up a lot of interfacing positions to its correlation setting. This puts you in a higher communication. Okay, really balance out the energy, vibration, and frequencies in your set lines of your harmonics. To set lines of communication, you have to stand the wind graph streams in position location on all levels of energy line. Circle rotation settings, high interference position track lines, electrical light communication setting, code weaving line rotations, circle line interference, center communication, triangle line settings, dimensional line rotation, 12 line position. All is inside of you, but you need to understand the higher self and the integration to the higher levels of you. Okay, the grounds is the hardware, and the software is the higher level of the mind, of imagination. That's your avatar. So it's you dealing with you, but at higher level. And once you reach that higher level, the actual higher self leaves the physical reality, which comes into full communication of atom line setting rotations that disappears and reappears in position of integration to the higher self location of its avatar. Okay? All right. How's everybody doing? Okay, setting position line connections, all levels. Fantastic what we did in spectrum communication lights with Saturn. Fantastic, amazing, 1,500 views. It was a great day. We learned a lot. We understand each other more. We're connecting more and more each day. We're getting in provisional locations. We're understanding the positions to its positive setting. So this is how it starts. Now we're already in position on 26, but before we start that locations, this is what it is. Okay, this is one straight line. That's all it is, one straight line. Okay, to understand the straight line is to understand the stops. Okay, from this to this. Now, getting abundance is in positions of breaking things down like this in graph. Okay. All right. So now this is about understanding. This is what you want. Okay. And this is what you should have. This is how you break it down. Okay. You do it in 4-line settings in position. Okay. So it's easier to do this than this because this changes frequency. Okay, it changes your graph, it changes your any-line settings. So let's say you go in position locations, very high into 8. Okay, so that's 8 sigma into gamma, set line, and position locations in alpha into delta, okay, and back into beta. So setting correlation set lines and high line interference line, position location, high system location, you're not going to receive abundance because you're in position locations all levels of confusion. So breaking these things down, you go from alpha, you go to delta, you go to beta, and set locations, you go to mega. And that's how you get abundance. 4-line settings in position, you break it down. Alpha comes in line setting, delta line communications, into levels of beta, beta line position of mega, setting correlation system, flux capacitor line conditions, equal line conditions, factor over pi. Right? But you're breaking these things down in position. You start here, not here. Okay, so breaking it down is setting up your thoughts. Now, when you're setting up your thoughts, you have to really recognize what you're doing through your video graph, screen set lines, and high center line interference and direct location to your positions, because you're all connected to your higher self and your avatar. Okay, so this is the ground line centers and positions. Okay, circle line rotations and position location. The magnetic highway information line setting is high setting. So this is your higher self setting up signals in scan line rotations into all ways and forms and correlation system. Now, understanding that is understanding the pi. This is what I really want you to understand because it's all position location. If you look at your watch, you understand the increments and set line connections. And then you got the energy dome set in high division. Okay, there's the dome, right? So really recognize what you are seeing is what you are doing. It's position, location of directions. This gives you all levels of channel and set lines of communication, right? So once you understand this, you understand this, you understand this, you understand this, right? This is in space now. So this takes a position of its Earth system to its location. The Earth has 4 lines, okay? Inner, outer, and position locations. So you have the inner core, you have the outer core, and then you have line communications to its atmosphere of its ether, which is correlation system to your Earth setting. Now, recognizing that line communication system is the flux capacitor. The flux capacitor sets the ground lines of rotation as circle locations. Now, setting in position location travels its line setting, okay? So your Earth rotates as you rotate, okay? Which is very fascinating. So the Earth can go anywhere in position locations because it's already integrated to its avatar in set location, right? So that's something to look forward to. Now, to get here is to understand the abundance, okay? So you got to start somewhere, which is at the beginning. Now, starting at the beginning is all those a video graph line setting, okay? Set locations, all right? So you got a 0 line, equal line conditions of alpha, okay? Now it's an operation system to a mega. See how I'm going higher? Circle line rotations to another security line defense line, okay? So in position locations, I can turn this into an atom line in rotations to another circle locations to a Fibonacci swirl in 3 set locations, okay? 3 equals 3 lines, right? So you take the 3 line set lines and 3 line position locations, becomes 3, 3. You box locations of 3, 3 in trifactor, okay, in position over pi. There's your abundance. Okay, complicated, right? But it's a lot of fun once you understand the energetic waves. That's why you guys have to recognize things on your watch. Your watch is extremely powerful when it comes in position and what it is, the correlation. Understanding the hands, okay, understanding the miniature settings and position line direct locations. So what a watch is, tells time, but also its position of its direct locations. You have to understand everything in detail of what the watch is. It just doesn't tell time. It puts you through time. So understand the position line direction locations. If you look really close, you can see the communication, right? All right. So you see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Each one is intersect locations to each line interfacing a pi. That's a 12-line signal. Okay. See how fascinating that is when it travels? So when it's traveling, that's the position of its higher self integrating its line setting position to its avatar in seconds and minutes and hour location settings. So once you understand the time, you start to understand the space. Now we change the space and time in position locations, right? But setting signals into 26 location is your provision. Equine conditions into all levels, lock, operation, levels, avatar. Okay, avatar comes in position into Fibonacci, starts line setting, setting line in position into flux capacitor set location. Now, signal line interference. Now, this is all line position of magma and set locations into center location of console correlation set. Now, that sets line in position location into vast, equal line conditions of volume, into position line settings, into velocity. Velocity sets line position locations into 2 line settings, into another 2 line settings, and set locations in position. All right, setting its correlation set lines in position. Now, once you get into that position location, the 26 high rises its division line centers in 3 sectors. So that's position locations into 6, into 7, into 8. Locks the signals in the line center line interference location to higher self, setting position line direct locations into 2 channels, 3 positions, 4, and 5 set location. Now, getting into 26 is 2 line channel. That 2 line channel over pi is sector's line position of its pass line into center correlation system, locks the signal. Now it's locked. Setting line interference line position to the team sets puts him in open sequence location to the higher self, into the chakra setting into the avatar in his computer chip. So that's 2 over line setting in position over pi in position line setting into computer chip set locations. 6, 7, and 8, 9, 10, and 11 in conscious line setting of the team line rotation is now locked in sequence through mechanism location of travel, done by equation. All right, so recognition line setting is really all levels of force. And force comes in a communication setting. So really recognize line interference. Let's say you get up in the morning and you have your coffee, you have your breakfast, and then you figure out what you're going to do in the day. Say, okay, what am I going to do? So you're like this, you're standing like this, and you're doing this, all right? You're having an epiphany and you're going, what should I do? Okay, so in that position, hum is hesitation, goes back force line setting in rotation. Setting course line setting sets line position of graph line stream setting. All right, so what that does, it opens up a portal into line communication in the negative cycle. Setting aligning line and rotation interference is second line position locations. Okay, now this is underscore. So it's 2 underscores, 2 underline setting line interference. So you got 2 underscore line setting. So that's negative, negative, positive, positive. Setting correlation system brings the seconds and set lines. That's seconds over channel over pi. Setting line interference of 0 into 9 location. Setting position. Done by equation. All right. So I'm just showing you how you go into back force line settings, into recognition line position, into center operation. The operation and position of the brain frequency pattern has to recognize the communication of the seconds, minutes, and hours, not the hours, minutes, and seconds. Okay. So now you guys are in lock sequence in 26 patterns and correlation system of data streams of fields setting line communication system to its position, locking its signal in position at all levels in securities, perimeters, and parameters. Two-line setting is already set up locations, right? So your higher self is locked in signal, and so is your avatar. It's open and activated through 26 line settings. Done by equation. All right. How's everybody doing today? It's a beautiful day. Sam, Madeline, Tina, Olaf's Airbender, Chris, Val, Genrox, Heather, Communication Systems, Geneva, Johnny, Guardian, Max, let's say Sarah, Commander, Andy, David. It's great to see everybody. Love seeing the smiles on your faces. It's beautiful. Especially when you start recognizing line settings. Zara, welcome Zara. Val, JP. Yes, it is. Danielle. All right. See, I said that. So there you go, Sarah. I said you're on your panel. Setting communication line setting, high interference, Stacy, position line direction. Let's see. Position locations, high center interference, set locations, high position location line settings. So even if you're not here, you hear. So in position location, Gypsy. The thing is, you're already traveling anyway, so it doesn't matter. So you don't have to be in school. You're always in school. You don't have to be in school. You're always in school. Life is a test. It's about you recognizing you and your purpose of why you're here. To get abundance. How do I get that? Through the mind, right? It's all set up in increments, locations of breaking these things down. So you start small. Let's say you go through cross signal like that. Okay. So in position locations. So this is how it works. You want this, but you don't want to understand this. That's why you're confused. You can't do this. You got to do this. You got to break it down because each wave changes seconds line setting in high setting line interference, confusion, location, position, attraction. Right? You don't want to cross the wave central because what that does is it causes a cluster line rotation, line position locations in an opposite system line position location attraction. So let's start breaking these things down, shall we? Because everybody wants to get there, but it's the journey. It's not the destination. And once you understand how to use the mind, you understand the capacity over pi. It's all levels of you in set location. And this is how you get into your abundance, is breaking these things down. You don't just see the rope of this, you see the rope on the other side. But to understand it is to understand your thoughts. So every time you're using your thoughts, your directory location is going through its pure intention. Okay, so it's kind of like following breadcrumbs to get where you need to go. So your thoughts are taking you there through its energy, which is its intention. You have intent. Okay, so recognizing that, then you understand. But being depressed and having anxiety or anything in that position locations, all levels of being angry, you're not going to receive anything because your videograph screens are way off position. Crossing signals on line setting, high line rotation line position locations, confusion on circle line position. That's what's happening to you if you're off signal. So this is the position locations where you have to, again, break it down step by step. Go small, go big. Okay, everybody wants to get to the other side. Well, you're already there at the other side. The only thing you have to do is to adapt to the higher self and positions to its avatar because it's transmitting the higher self to its receiving and it's receiving back. So it's like, right? Got the message. Sending out, coming back. Got the message. That's all it is. But it's all based on energy, vibration, frequencies, and its harmonics. This is it comes to alpha, delta, theta, beta, omega, gamma, or radiation line conditions or sigma. Anything will work for you, but is understanding the process is to be understood. to really know exactly what you're up against is getting your positions of directions to its set system. All right. So you're working with graph lines and set lines in two positions each day. So setting position location is 2 clock setting line rotations. So this is the sun and position locations of the moon, right? So the sun changes its direct location as the moon changes its operation. So it sets signals back in correlation setting. The recognition line condition opens up levels of more sun codes and high line interference, setting position location to higher levels of security line position. The moon rotates its system and travels wherever it wants in position location, right? So you have to really recognize more levels of view or projection. What is the higher self saying to you to higher level of its avatar setting? So I really want you to get into all levels through perception of what you're doing. It's you dealing with you every single day. But understanding the consciousness is really understanding the program. Now, understanding the program is all levels of structure. You can't set up high line center locations of energy line center line positions of pi if you don't understand your sonars or correlation system of its position. So you got one communication and 2 line settings. 1 equals 2 set locations, right? So that's 2 interline inner rotations. So you got 1, 1. That's one portal, right? And a line communication equal line in position of 1, 1 set locations. So that sets line position of 1, 1, 1, 1. Line communications into 10 cycles in high setting. So this is how you read a clock line. Now, once you understand more levels of view, you really get into the adaptation line conditions of your system. This gives you all levels of fortitude light streams. Now, getting into fortitude light stream line interference is understanding the waving cycles. So you got 11 line position of pi set locations, which is in the now. You got 1 line setting into underscore in pi, which is line position locations into the past line into 2 into 1 line setting, into vortex chamber line position into VAS, into velocity, and position locations into its set location. So understanding that through track line center is line position location to your pyramid setting, sets communication to its flywheel setting that rotates its spin cycle in its Fibonacci. Fibonacci swirls and set lines in high center appearance. 10 set lines in position here. 10 equals south in set location. Now the south line comes in position location to its east, the set's location of north, the set locations into west, and position location of direction. Okay? Getting into its diamond core set line. Now getting in diamond core cuts a high line center of a circle line and grounds line, and a circle line of rotation into your magnetic high field set, getting you in position locations of travels into 2 line sets of 6 location settings. This puts position locations to Earth in rotation line interference, travel this location system to higher levels, high setting rotation, putting your direct line settings in all communications of integration setting, high interference, and track locations. 3 channels of operation Earth line rotations to its setting in set location. Done by equation. So you have to really, really understand the mechanism of you and the grounds first, guys. This is the first thing that you look at every single day when you get up in the morning. It's the higher self of you. That's 1 line communication of 1 screen of consciousness, which is your 12-track setting. 12 equals DNA, right? To 1 track. Now, what do you think a track is? Okay, it's a GPS lock setting. It's a GPS signal. It's a line communication to the avatar. So anything at track line center volumes its position location of travel. Okay, this is your avatar. This is your higher self every single time. So it doesn't matter. So you go here. Okay, avatar to the higher self. There it is, right? You go here. There's the higher self. Okay, in position location. Inside location, here's your avatar at the top. It's always at the top. It's always communicating with you every single day. Okay, multipass. So now you understand the concept of its reality of what you're getting to is really understand your position locations you're voicing. Now, because you're in position of 26 lines, it gets a little bit more complicated, but a lot more fun now because you're starting to recognize more levels of you through memory. And once you go to higher levels into alter state communication, you understand more levels of technology of your setting. Once you understand the technology, you understand the graphs, you understand the strings, the set locations, all right? It's all about you coming to expansions, Just set lines of calculation, set line interference, right? So this is your avatar, different perceptual locations because you're reaching line position locations at 1, 2, 3. Communication web line settings, all levels of correlation system line position location interactions. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 set location, right? So if you look really close, you can see the intelligence. See the nose? Communication line setting and eye position. All right, so getting in that line interference, the avatar is always at top location. Always. You're in the center of operation. Okay, so your recognition line setting has its own flux capacitor that its ground set location of a 0 line rotation, which is position line direct location, which is connected to its Orion belt in 3 set locations into stargates. Now, those stargates are perception line connections to your conscious setting that opens all stream location set and interference. Setting in direct locations, the avatar has to know exactly where you are at all times in line position. So 3-line communication, there's 3 data streams right there in position location settings. Okay. Now the course line settings, that's line position location. Let's say 9-line comes into energy wash line rotation, changes position location of face recognition. Face recognition changes line communications into the avatar center line rotations, which is of pi. Okay, center position locations into 6. So you get a better communication of your throat pattern into waterfall correlation system and downstream. Setting position location on all levels, assist line interference is underscore line interference, changing position locations and attraction, things you didn't mean to say, but you said it anyway. That's underscore. To the Lido program locations, position line direction sets a new graph line setting into a DNA track locations and structure location, that's schematics. That's how it's done every single day through you. Okay. So it's really recognizing more levels of you to the higher self. And this is what we're coming into now. More balance, more space, more time in its manifestation line conditions. Because all you're doing is you're creating a structure to higher levels of you, of its consciousness, of its mind. And once you reach those levels, you start recognizing what you are and your existence. You come into purification of all levels of inner light setting. The geometric operation of its direct location is the correlation system that's inside of you. You are a vessel of all lines of communication of space and time through pi. Okay? That's the importance you have to understand. Why the higher self is you on the grounds of its earth perception. And why you have is the how is correlated in position of its higher self to its avatar. Okay? Because it's you dealing with you. Me, myself, and I. Nothing else, nothing more. Anything that you get involved with is all levels of you. Anything that you interact with is all levels of you. You have to learn how to balance out the telepathy of your higher self to your avatar because you are dealing with you every single day. That's all this is. It's you trying to balance the communication setting to all levels, high position locations in high communications of yin and yang. Okay. So, it's really recognizing you or what it is. What is the purpose of understanding any of this? Well, it's all about understanding how to get your abundance through travel. And the only way to do that is understand how to transmit and receive. That's all it is. Transmit, receive, transmit, receive. That's all you're doing. So it's in position location to 1 road graph line setting. Okay. And you got the X2000s and all set locations and travel. Okay. And you got your position. This is your avatar. Right? Same correlation system. So it's traveling in space. Okay. But your higher self is in the ground setting. So now you're getting a little bit more understanding the importance, why it's so in position. So this is what it is. You're always communicating through this setting. Every single time. So you go here, a position that comes here. You go here, your avatar goes here. So it's a magnet with a piece of paper in the center. That's all this is. But it's like this. Right? Wherever you go, right? So I'll give you another multi-pass. So in provisional location, when you are walking, when you're seeing your sun and you're seeing your moon, remember, it's the avatar moving, which is you. Because what you're seeing is just a reflection inside location of it, the inner and outer core line setting. So you're actually seeing yourself through provision, but your inner line communication system is all levels of you. So when you're looking at the sun from inner line setting location of space, that's your avatar. Looking at you. Multi-pass. Remember that how it sets signals in high center line interference location of sun codes. So where are the sun codes coming from? You in space. Okay? All right. Now it's starting to make more sense. Right? Is this truly understanding the integration locations, guys? It's so simple. When you're seeing something in any way and form, you're looking at you. You're looking at a reflection of you in space on the other side. See, there's two sides of you. Okay? But there's only one of you. You understand? So there's two imaginations. One is the grounds and one is space. One is the power of connect line settings of 1 + 1 = 3. So understanding that, and every time you're looking at something from inner line setting location, you're in position, location, and directions of its masculinity, its femininity, and its divinity, which is a correlation system of enlightenment settings. So every time you're looking in position of skyline setting, of Skynet line interference, you are seeing your avatar. That sun is the avatar. Wherever it goes, you go. Same with the moon. Understand? That's the correlation system of balance line setting in position line direct locations in your geometric operation of your directions, designs, and the constructs of levels of you value you in position of directions. Knowing exactly what you're coming into is higher levels of the mind setting. That's it. You understand? Yeah. So now you understand the computer operation line setting location is sun and the moon because it's connection line setting. So it's you speaking with you in space line to its position. Okay. So that's all this is. That's all it is. Now, this is going to help you out more. Why it's so important to sun gaze and look at the sun more. Because it's you looking at you. You looking at you. That's all it is. That's all this is. What you have to balance is what you can't see. And what you can't see, when you start to see these things, you understand why becomes the how. Okay? So try to figure out that and see what I mean to really understand how the sun is represented to you now and its moon. Hoo-wah. So, Commander said that line setting right away in position. So you get a bright line interference, line position of 0, line position location of 3, line position of 4 set locations. All right. So it gets tricky. Line position of 4 = 4, line position location equal line connections of 44, line position locations into a half byte, line position of 6, line communications into 4 line setting, position location of line position of 2 line center location of 3, line center location of Fibonacci line interference, 3 communication system, 3 equal line position of 4, and underscore line position of 2, line position locations into underscore line setting, and underscore line position of pi line communications into 1, into 0 gravity location. Down by equation. Okay. So the formula is a direct signal. Now, understanding the equation set line is true to stand E = mc squared. E is the energy line. Okay. Equal is the Merkaba, northwest, south, and east. Diamond core set. All right. We got that in equation set, right? Mass is position of volume, weight conception. Calculation is to and from. Square is GOD, multi-pass. Now you're starting to connect why you have the sun and why you have the moon. So I'm going to help you guys out. The sun communication line center is male. Masculinity line interference in direct location to yourself. The femininity is the moon line setting. 1 + 1 = 3. Multi-pass. Right there. Hoo-ah. That's probably the biggest thing that I can give you guys. Okay? Now you understand what 1 plus 1 equals 3 is? Now, getting into that position of direct line setting, now you understand the correlation system of what the sun is and what the moon is. 1 plus 1 equals 3. 3-line setting is set locations in a 3-line setting, another 3-line setting, into higher communications, into higher line set rotations, into all levels of test or line communication system, higher levels of teleportation of stream lines and correlation system, new ground setting, into higher communication system, magnetic high line interference, 1-line setting, plus line rotations, 1-line setting, equal line connection and interference, north line in position location, diamond core line interference, equals 3-line setting, location of 3 million sets, and set location, set location. So that's what you're dealing with every single day. So you have to understand something like, yes, I'm the correlation to the sun. 0 is the line communication of the moon. So if you understand that line connections, you understand atom and electron. Everybody here is Adam and Eve. Okay? But you also know the original print to that sublocation is atom and electron. How atom became atom and how electron became electron. You fuse the two in position location high setting, you put them into inner line rotations to its own geometric operation of a design location setting, put you in all correlation system of its sun and its moon and its track locations. So when you bring the sun and the moon together, what do you have? What do you have in position? Solar flare, solar combustion, right? Setting correlation line settings, high position location of infusion. Atom and electron came to set lines in high setting, setting communication to create all levels of a cloud set. Okay? So you get a little bit more understanding the position where 1 plus 1 equals 3. Right? What is masculine? What is feminine? So it's you balancing you in your higher self through your earth. Higher self is the earth perception. Okay? The avatar is its space conception. Multi-pass. Okay? So this is what you have to come into is levels of integration first. Understanding the process of when I put my hands together. What does that mean through a chest plate line communication setting? Understanding the grounds, understanding space is understanding you in a split setting. Your dualities are all position of 1. Okay? Not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 12. 1. Okay? Setting symbols and setting correlation set lines is position location into seconds, equal line conditions of minutes, line position of hours, into day location. And that's where you guys are. You're in the seconds into 0, equal location of 9. Boxes locations in line at position. Line stays in line setting into try factor. Factor communications in position line settings over pi. There you go. That's where you guys are right now. 0 to 9 setting. All right, so that's all set up, position, location, attraction. Okay. Clarification, boost, bam, slam, skadoosh. This is why we're always saying it's fighting you and out of balance. Give yourself a hug. Well, that's exactly what it is. You know, it's light, shades, and shadows. But now you understand why the moon has a lighter side and a darker side of its setting. So it's a lighter setting of emotional setting, and it's the darker side line setting indication of the darker setting of you, which is your position, where you are in correlation system of your perspectives and how you see yourself through your human resonance, your emotional track setting. You have to learn how to balance these things out, guys. That's a simplification right there. This simplifies everything that you're coming involved with. Higher levels of you. Congratulations. Coming into that position locations, integration of 1. Okay? Once you get integrated, then you come in a continuous flow, all timelines all at once. Okay? Of yin and yang. That's it. So, but this is where you guys are now in set line settings at 26 field locations. Okay? 0 to 9. Okay? So it's going to be interesting too, because inline centerline interference in set locations puts you in traction. Now we have a test coming up, which is a review. Okay. So that's next Friday. So all next week is going to be the test. Okay. You have to really recognize communication settings and really understand how you come in your positions into mind alteration line conditions of pi. Space and time of view is positional directions now. Really understand how to balance the masculinity, the femininity to its position location of its directions. All right. Ooh-ah. Okay. Any question lines high interference? I will be on position locations on live. Adios.